great.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
All right. There we go. I see us. Hey, YouTube cooperates a little bit better at 6 o'clock.
All right.
I like it.
It's starting.
Their servers must still be awake. Welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. Episode 242. Your once-weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff.
I'm Steve.
Welcome to the show, everyone, at its brand new time, and thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday night, or in podcast form over on Anchor.fm, or wherever your favorite podcasts are found. If you've never seen the show before, we talk beer, we talk tech, we talk games, pop culture, entertainment, usually some Star Trek. All super chats are read on the air so long as they will not permanently demonetize the channel. We drink alcohol on the show, and if you're drinking along with us, alcoholic or not, let us know in the chat and we'll give some early show shoutouts as we go along. Last but not least, if you'd like to take part in the super secret chat and the even more super secret after party immediately following the show, think about joining the Patreon. Link is down in the video description. As a bonus, you'll get exclusive access to the Discord server, where you can chat with myself, John, Rhett, Steve, all the hosts from Talking Heads, and join the awesome community that hangs out over there. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, that's early time slot. I just woke up, so you know.
At least comb your hair next time, man. God.
Yeah, I know. I use my fingers. That's close enough.
That's all I do anymore.
No.
How you doing, Steve?
I'm doing pretty good, but you're right. No, I am sorely in need of a haircut. So.
Oh yeah, I mean.
Yeah, that's. Why did I think of wearing a hat? Come on.
Yeah. This last week was totally the Bo Burnham. I had a haircut, but it got rescheduled.
Yeah.
I had one scheduled for last Tuesday, and last Monday I tested positive for COVID. So this last week has been, it's been weird.
Yeah. I can see why.
Yeah.
Well, at least you didn't get the wife haircut where she just takes out the buzz cuts. And...
I had 3 or 4 of those over the last 2 years, and man, I am so done with those. Bless my wife. She's a wonderful person, but a terrible stylist.
Yes, I wouldn't trust. I mean, because I don't trust myself either.
Right. Yeah, like I did one by myself.
I did my son's haircut a couple of times, and it wasn't great. I mean, he's a kid; he doesn't care, right? It's just like, but you can see like some of the uneven bits and all over his hair. He doesn't care. He's like, I just want to play with my toys. But I'm like, I am not going to ever cut my hair or anybody else's.
Yeah, no, it's funny, the skills that you pick up during stay at home and quarantine, global pandemic, and then the skills that you learn are definitely not for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like I couldn't be a surgeon either, and I can't even cut hair because I can't keep my hands steady.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, that goes back to like the theme of my channel, which is try to do it yourself and try to do things, well and purposefully and with care. That is the definition of craft that I like to use. And you find things you're good at, and you find things that I'd rather pay someone to do.
Yes, exactly. You find that out pretty quickly.
Yes. And hey, you know what the best part of a new time slot is? We can start drinking 2 hours earlier.
You know what? I still kind of do that on the normal weeks anyway. So.
I assumed with you.
Well, I mean, I work from home, It's like, it's 4:30, because I work with a lot of people on the East Coast, like in Montreal and stuff like that. Yeah. And in Tennessee. So, rolling around 4 o'clock, they're all off already. They're not going to contact me. It's fine. No one's going to care.
If a ticket comes in, it can wait till 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. Well, most of my tickets come in from India, so they wouldn't get it. I wouldn't get it until the next morning anyway.
Right.
So.
Good deal. But yeah, Steve, what are you drinking tonight?
All right. Today, I have the yearly release of the 3-Way IPA.
Ooh,
by Fort George.
I didn't know they had that yet.
Yes, they do. So for those of you who don't know, Fort George, in my opinion, one of the better breweries here in Oregon. And every year they do a 3-Way IPA which is a collaboration IPA that they do with different styles and different hops. And this year they did two kinds. One, they did a hazy style, which is what this one is, and they also did a Northwest style, which I already drank all of, so I'm not drinking it tonight.
You can see which one was the better.
Yes. This one is the better one, because this one came out second. But I forget who they collabed with. I think it's Roos Brewing they collabed with. I'm not 100% sure. I can't really immediately see it on the can. And my second one is Terminal Gravity Brewing's Hop Vault series, the Imperial Juice Bomb.
Ooh.
I have not tried this one yet, so we'll see how this one goes. But something called Imperial Juice Bomb piques my interest.
I mean, yeah.
And this last one, this was nothing special because it's just a Yeti.
Okay.
It's just a standard Imperial Stout Yeti, which I'm sure a lot of people have had. But the thing about this one is a lot of people have aged Imperial beers in bottles. Mm-hmm. This one is aged in a can. So this is a can-aged Yeti. It was bottled in 2017.
Wow.
So it's been aging for a while in a can. So I want to see...
That predates craft computing.
It does. So I want to see if it's going to have that kind of metallic-y taste versus when you age it in a bottle when it really doesn't have that. So
right.
I'll see how this goes.
Nice. So I've got one from Crux Fermentation Project over in Bend, Oregon.
I love Crux.
Yes. This is a limited release. It is the Kiki Magic Hazy IPA.
Yeah, I've had that one. That's good.
Oh, yeah. I've had one of these, and I went, I have to open the other one on the show. 6.9%. It is... producing unexpected pineapple and ripe pear expressions.
I thought when I had it, I thought it kind of tasted like Fruit Loop cereal.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the second one that I've got for today is a classic. This is from Quilter's Brewing. You probably already know what it is. Or no, not Quilter's Brewing. It is... gosh, I never remember the name of this one. Anyway, it's Quilter's Irish Death.
Oh, yes. Irish Death is great.
Yeah. This is a standard... what would you even call this? It's a smooth dark ale, is what they say.
Either dark ale or strong ale, I would consider it.
Yeah, 7.8%. But if you see this on the shelf, grab one. It is... if you've never gotten into like dark beers, this is a fantastic intro without getting into the coffee and the dark chocolate and the super rich and bitter flavors. This is a phenomenal, smooth, easy drinking, but still richer and darker flavors. So
it's not like super roasty like stouts and porters, but it definitely has a smoother, dank. I wouldn't say dankier, like darker, slight roast flavor, not much at all. Right,
exactly.
More multi-sweet.
Yep. So I think we're going to start with the hazy.
Okay. I think I will too. I'm going to start with my three-way
because that sounds really good. We do have a couple super chats while I'm doing the pouring here. The net guy chimes in at $1.99. First super chat of the new time slot. Thank you so much, John. Tech Geek jumps in for $10. Not first. Just like every good YouTube comment section, we've got to have a first. That is not actually first.
Yeah.
Tech Geek also sends over $40. Thank you again, Tech Geek. Evening, gents. Drinking a grape crush tonight. To commemorate the new time, I do not drink, but grapes are round and several small clocks. Okay, trying to go with the time theme, I'm guessing. But grapes are round and like several small clocks. There we go. Cheers to you and all my fellow nerds. Cheers to you right back. Sean sends over $5. Thank you very much, Sean. First beer is Mustache Sean's Chocolate Stout. Second beer of the night, Medusa by Black Plague Brewing in San Diego. It's an 8% Imperial Milk Stout.
Never heard of them. I've been to San Diego, but San Diego, there's new breweries that pop up down there all the time. So not surprised.
Let's see. See if we have any more. Jeremy's got a Mountain Dew. Yeah. Novella Hub with an Anchorage Breathe Deep Double IPA. That's a fantastic one, 8.4%. Rhett is drinking a Drop Top from Widmer. It's an amber ale.
Surprised it's not a Rainier.
Williams got a Fremont Brewing Dark Star Imperial Oatmeal Stout, 8%. Always love me a good Fremont.
Dark Star's good. Yeah.
Let's see. World Peas has a Big K Citrus Drop. It's the Kroger brand Mountain Dew.
The Dr. Dew, or whatever they call it. It's their Mountain Dew Dr. Pepper mix.
And we'll do one more. Steve is drinking a Summit EPA.
Summit EPA, huh?
Yeah.
What's an EP? I don't know what an EP. I've heard ESB and what's
English Pale Ale.
English Pale Ale. Okay.
Yeah. So we're going full circle from Brits created the Imperial or India Pale Ale to
I don't know what the difference would be. I guess I have to look it up. I know there's a couple charts you can find that have like all the beer styles and stuff like that, and there's a ton of them with all different subtle differences. And I don't know if anybody can rightfully just take a sip of something and be like, oh, well, that's an English pale versus an American pale.
Right.
It's like, I don't
versus a straight pale versus
yeah.
Like typically IPAs are a lot hoppier, or at least especially the West Coast IPAs are. But usually a pale is a pale. So I'm curious to find out what makes an English pale ale.
I'm gonna guess probably the malt profile.
You drink it with the
possibly.
pinky out.
Yeah, that's what you do. You have a little tea in it.
Yeah, exactly.
You can only drink. You got to drink it with your crumpets.
Yep. Elliot chimes in for $15. Thank you very much, Elliot. I'm appreciative of the new time slot. I used to work second shift and listen to live at work, but moving to a 5 a.m. time start with the new job, I haven't been able to catch the live show in a while. Well, glad you're able to catch it now. And that's kind of the whole idea of it, is to be able to hit a little bit larger audience. I know a lot of people on the West Coast like the 8 p.m. start time. But that means I get no one on the East Coast because, well, we didn't start till 11 p.m.
Yep.
It's the same reason no one on the East Coast watches Blazer games.
Yeah.
It's like 10:30 start time. They're playing the Hornets. Screw that. Trying to hit a little bit earlier time slot, be a little bit friendlier for everyone. So if you're catching us for the first time live, welcome. Or if you're circling back around, hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. First time this time slot, and I think my wife might appreciate it a little bit more too, because once this is over, I can tuck my kid in bed and everything like that.
Yep. Yeah, I had to make dinner on my own tonight, but I'll be able to get off the show, go tuck my kids in bed, read stories, that kind of thing. So
those are the best Pop-Tarts you've had in a while,
huh? Chicken and a biscuit, actually.
Oh, okay. All right, there we go. Chicken Pop-Tarts. It's good.
Yep. Yep. If you want a big one, just take a Pop-Tart and take a little ramen chicken seasoning.
Oh!
Sprinkle it on top.
One of the I don't think John's released this video yet, but we did do the whole gamut of Stone hot sauces.
Oh, okay.
And we kind of did a hot wings type of a thing where we coated the hot sauce in wings and we'd taste it and we'd say what we thought. But we went through them all, and then he had this like Korean hot sauce powder type of stuff. No, it was a liquid. It wasn't a powder, but it tasted just like the Top Ramen seasoning packet, the chicken Top Ramen seasoning packet, but very hot. And that's what it tasted like. It was like you put that on the wings. It was like a spicy Top Ramen wing at that part. I thought it was like absolutely delicious. And I'm like, yeah, you could probably use that and just sprinkle that on some of your like Pop-Tarts and get a chicken Pop-Tart there. Spicy chicken Pop-Tart.
Yeah, as someone who is quite the ramen chef, I was one of those guys in college that literally knew how to make ramen 50 different ways because,
it's cheap.
Yeah. 20 cents for noodles. Heck yes.
Yep. Oh yeah, I've done the French onion soup ramen. I've done like the pad thai ramen.
I've done the pad thai ramen. I did that quite a bit.
The pad thai ramen actually turns out pretty good.
Yes.
Oh, there was one I did like
You go by the trail mix section, get a little honey roasted peanut, just dice those up.
Oh yeah. That's I'd use the honey roasted peanuts. They're great. What was it? The garlic, spicy garlic noodle.
Mm-hmm.
I've done that one before. That one turned out really good.
I used to do a melted butter garlic sauce, like a reduction that I would do with like one of the little Walmart $1 salmon fillets.
Oh yeah,
and some like make a little Italian, meal with it.
Oh man, yeah. I just recently did went to a Mexican place nearby and got some birria, and with birria they give you the consomme, the kind of like au jus, right? It's dipping sauce. And so they gave me so much of it. They gave me like 3 containers full of this stuff, and I only used maybe half. And so I saved the rest, and then so I went and got the Tapateo instant ramen bucket.
Yeah.
And I put the consomme in that, and then made ramen out of that, and that was excellent. It was like a super thick, beefy, brothy ramen spiciness. It was really good.
Glenn says chicken ramen with a poached egg. That was also a fantastic one. You could also do ramen with an egg drop, and so you get the water super hot and boiling, and you do like an egg drop soup.
Yeah,
so good. Yeah. Reverend says, I'm definitely not drinking an Halesmith Revision Collab Split Aces IPA while sitting at the bus stop.
That's something like I would not do too.
Yep. Totally haven't done that.
Yeah, I've never done it before. we were driving back the other day, and I was just like beat tired, and I wanted something to drink, and I was about to crack open. I was in the passenger seat, and I was about to crack open a beer, and you're just like, no, don't do that. Why not? I'm driving. Come on. I'm tired.
Yeah, unfortunately, Oregon is really strict about those open container laws, though.
Yeah, I know they are.
I get nervous when I used to get like IBC root beers and things like that. I would get nervous drinking those around town.
Yeah, because it looks like you're drinking a beer. Yeah,
right. Yeah,
they got the fancy root beer bottles.
Yeah, it's a tan bottle, and it's like no root beer, cream soda.
Yeah, come on, guys, that's fine.
Relax. Yeah, so I tried not to do that too much. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the tech news, starting with these rumors have been flying for quite a while, and the more rumors you see and the more times they are corroborated, the more times I feel they might be onto something. So the RTX 4090 is predicted to have a 2,520 megahertz boost clock, 21 gigabit per second, 24 gigs of GDDR6, have a 450 watt estimated TDP, and yeah, what is that? 16,384 CUDA cores and 32 floating point. Why are we okay? I clicked on the Twitter post. Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be
beefy.
High.
Yeah. This is almost 50% higher than the 3000 series.
Yeah. So between 5 nanometer process improvements over the 7 nanometer or 6 nanometer, I guess was on the Samsung to TSMC 5 nanometer. Between that and the overall die surface area improvements, we could be looking at between 70 and 100% improvement year over year over the 3000 series cards.
That's insane.
I have a 3090, and good God. God, that card is fast. and I paired it with a Ryzen 5950X. Like, aside from the 12900 KF and the 3090 Ti, I have the fastest consumer parts that you can buy. And holy crap, they cut through anything that I want, no questions asked. But no, let's just go ahead and double it year over year.
Yeah.
Like, I thought those days were well behind us as far as, like, like, remember, Steve, in the early 2000s and even going back into the 90s and whatnot, where you could literally every 6 months double graphics card performance.
Oh yeah. There was a reason why people like, well, we'll skip a generation because we know the next one after that is just going to be like so much better.
Right. I mean, and back in those days, we did it with CPUs too. And we've talked about like the race to 1 gigahertz a number of times on the show, but going from 300 to 600 to 1200 megahertz, I believe was only a 18-month period. Yeah. Like from 300 megahertz, Pentium 2 being the top of the line offering from Intel, to AMD cracking the 1 gigahertz mark at 1 gigahertz, and then Intel coming right in behind him and doing 1.1 and 1.2. I mean, 18 months of each other. You could have built a PC and had it been 1/4 the power 18 months later.
Yeah, I know. And it would have been top of the line.
And I did.
Yeah, I know. A lot of us did. We're like, yeah, don't buy computers for investment unless you're going to buy it for work. That's why I never bought, like back then, especially back in the 90s. Well, I didn't have that kind of money, but I never bought top of the line because I'm like, it may last me longer, but it's always better to get that middle of the road cost to performance type of thing, because it could still last you a good amount of time when you're not, shelling out so much money.
Yep. We are finally getting the jump in memory from the RTX 3080 series. No longer are we going with 8 or 12 gigabytes. In fact, we are jumping all the way up to 16 gigabytes. And I've got to say, what took so long? Yeah. And then the RTX 4070 is expected to have 10 gigabytes of GDDR6, not GDDR6X, a 300 watt TDP, and 7,168 CUDA cores. So just under half of the CUDA cores of the 4090.
Yep.
So this is about to get really interesting, y'all.
It is. And the thing is, and I've talked about this on the show several times, and how I was really jonesing to get a 3000 series. And then as soon as they were released, they were gone because the cryptocurrency miners just snatched them all up, and then they were just priced out. Yeah. No way I can get it. And I sold my 2000 series specifically because I wanted to buy a 3000 series. And I was like really bummed about that. So finally, now, as everybody knows, the price is going down on cards again.
Did you jump on one?
No.
Not yet?
Well, okay. I was tempted because I've been seeing some sales where it's actually getting below MSRP with like mail-in rebates and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, now it's starting to become more reasonable. But then I saw these specs. And I'm like,
and you're like, I can wait.
I could wait a couple more months and see. Yeah. Because I'm just right at the cusp. And I'd feel bad if I bought something and it'd be like, well, you just paid the same amount of money that if you just waited, 50% more performance.
Yep.
So yeah, I think I'm gonna wait, just based on this.
Yeah. Yeah, I have my 3090 now. I also paid $2,700 for my 3090. Oof. Yeah, but I needed the memory for video editing. It wasn't like, oh, I want the gaming chops. I can wait.
Dude, we don't need to. We can push that. I mean, the 3080, 3070, it has decent 4K performance.
Right, exactly. But they also only have 8 gigs of RAM, and I went, I need more than 8 gigs of video memory.
For video editing, yes.
But I'm also not going to go down to, like a Quadro card or something like that to get 16 gigs, but get 1070 level performance. Like, I still need some decent gaming performance. I mean, I was on a 2080 at the time. But 24 gigs was kind of the only option. So, and in fact, I tried going with an AMD with the 6900 XT, but Adobe Premiere hates that card. It hates it with a fiery passion. So yeah, had to double down and pivot and go towards a 3000 series at the top of the market. I guess not quite the top. They were selling for like 3,300 at one point, but still painful.
Yeah, that probably hurt. Yeah, knowing that. Well, I mean, knowing that you're not going to resell it for like investment purposes or anything like that's not so bad. It's a,
Right.
it's a write-off business expense type of a thing.
Well, it was a business expense, and it's a founder's card, so I can use it for comparisons for years to come. And,
Correct, yeah.
and like, I've also got a 3070 that I paid $1,000 for, and that one was literally just for a benchmark card.
Mhm.
Like I don't use that card day to day, but I needed that card for benchmarking some other video cards that had come in. So yeah, it's weird the things that I have to spend my money on versus like get to spend my money on versus things that come in for review. Just because something comes in for review doesn't mean it's free. In fact, something that comes in for review equals like 20 hours of work. And as every self-employed person will tell you, time is money.
Time is money. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not going to complain about it, but at the same time, it's like, it's not free. Like,
yeah. No, it's not free. I mean, yes, you get it, but there's expected work behind. There's never such thing as a free lunch.
Right. That
saying rings true in this particular case. Because you may get the hardware for free, but you got to put a lot of work into doing something behind it.
Yeah. I've been asked a number of times, how do you become a tech YouTuber? Like, how do I like get to the point where I can start getting gear for free? And the thing I will always tell everyone is, well, put $20,000 into it first.
Yeah.
And I had spent something like $24,000 of my own money before I got to the point where I was starting to get cases for review. It's like, yay, $100. That's
that's probably the easiest ones to get too, is cases. Like, yeah.
Yes. Like, yeah. So
and I think still, even to this day, you still kind of have a hard time getting video cards.
Yes, but also no. Like I have vendors that I could reach out to and go, yo, I need this, and I'll get it. I've made it less of a focus of trying to do video card reviews because
so many other people do it. And I know I'm not the point of authority on it. And honestly, it got to the point where even though I know what I'm talking about, and I think I do provide a unique perspective on video cards, on performance, on building PCs, it gets really frustrating when 80% of the comments that I receive are, well, Gamers Nexus said this. And it's like, that's cool. Did you see his review criteria? They're completely different from my review criteria. Yeah.
I review everything from the point of view of a consumer who spent X money on that card, and would I be happy with that performance? And you reach some different answers. And honestly, I think it's a more honest way to review products, because not every product compares laterally across the board with every other product. And there's a lot more nuance in reviews than just synthetic benchmarks, and this one performed 3% faster than the other.
FF people love raw numbers and stuff like that. Yeah, go to Gamers Nexus where they'll get the minutia of every little tiny stat you can get from the thing.
Right, exactly. But like when it comes down to case reviews and cooler reviews and things like that, like I'll do a case review and go, I love the features inside this case. I love how quiet it is. It's easy to build in. I like this little thing that they did on top, and the mounts are easy to work with. And someone will go, yeah, but it's not a mesh front, so it's gonna run really hot inside of it. And I went, yeah, but it's also quieter. Like there's another subjective measurement to that, and that is, I don't want to hear my PC.
Yeah.
And guess what?
As quiet as possible.
And guess what? If you put a solid face on the front of it and give the fans room to breathe, yeah, they're not going to move as much air, but I also don't have to listen to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's going to perform 3 to 4 to 5% less, or won't boost quite as high. Okay. But that's my trade-off.
That's the trade-off. You can't get everything.
Right. So, like, while measuring to the nth percentile for the top performance you can possibly gain out of things, there's other aspects of reviews that, to me, always get lost in the noise. But at the same time, like I said, I've gotten aggravated over the years of I'm trying to bring those other arguments to the forefront of, like, yeah, X is the best video card that you can get, or Like, I really like how quiet this one is. Yeah, but the memory runs 13 degrees warmer. Yeah, but it's still 30 degrees under spec. Like, what do you want from me?
Fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, I could go on and on and on about that subject. But let's go ahead and move on to the next story.
Sure.
This one is really funny. Tesla has come up with a way to extend the range on their cars. Why don't you just haul a trailer with a battery attached to it, a giant solar panel, and a StarLink satellite just for good measure, so you can sit in the parking lot, surf the internet while charging your car.
An interesting concept.
This sounds like a project that Electro Boom would come up with, or Tom Stanton would come up with, or like this looks like a YouTuber's dream concept of like, could I who was the one who hauled a bunch of generators on the back of his Tesla? There was a car YouTuber who did that. I think it might have been Rich Rebuilds that hooked up like an 18,000 watt generator to the back of his Tesla, just like this giant diesel blower generator. And he goes, yeah, we'll drive it to where we need to go, and then we'll fire up the diesel generator and charge it.
See, well, but then you got some added weight, so you'll get less.
You get less fuel economy, plus you're burning diesel.
Right? Yeah, going up that way. That would be pretty. I mean, it would be interesting to see. Well, for one, how long it takes to recharge your car from solar panels. I know that takes longer. But yeah, like you said, well, you got Starlink, and you can just hook up your Netflix and sit there and watch a couple movies.
Yeah.
While you're waiting for it. It's probably great for camping too. You could take your Tesla camping with that thing in the back. What would be better is if they had storage on it, so you could put your tents and stuff back in there.
Right.
Then you have it, unpack it when you go camping. Your Tesla's getting charged up. You got Starlink, so you can watch a movie at your campsite.
There you go.
And then when you're done and ready, Tesla should be all charged up. You can get back in and go out the next day.
That's right. I will say we bought a Toyota Sienna hybrid, and there's two things that I hate, and it's minivans and hybrids. But I find myself loving this van the more we own it, because it gets 35 miles to the gallon. It's super low maintenance because your engine only turns on when you're going above like 35 miles an hour. It can do straight EV for 20 miles up to like 45 miles an hour. It does 600 miles on a tank of gas, and it's only like a 17-gallon tank or something like that. Like, it's really, really impressive what it does. Plus, it has a 1500 watt inverter built into it. So it has like a 15 amp circuit in it that you could just, it's got outlets in the rear of it that you can just plug in, and you've got like days worth of power.
Nice.
So yeah, if like our power goes out, I've got a, gosh, I want to say it's a 7800 watt generator here. I think it's 7800 watts. It's a propane generator, which I really like because there's a propane fill station right down the hill from me. And so super easy to get refills. I've got 4 30-gallon tanks here, and I'm looking at getting a couple 100-pound tanks before too long. Just in case power goes out, I want to keep the sumps running and fridges and things like that. Dude, I can run the fridges just off my van.
Just got an extension cord coming from your van down into your house.
Yeah.
What's going on there, guys? What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
I'm using my car to warm my house.
Exactly. So, yeah, and it drives great. It drives like a crossover, not like a minivan. It doesn't feel like, you're sitting on top of the front axle and, driving a bus. It feels like a crossover. And it drives well. So, but yeah, if you want to extend the range of your Tesla, just hook up a trailer with a set of batteries and a solar panel, and then while you're waiting 4 days for the sun to charge it, you've got internet. So
yeah, that's right.
There you go.
You can catch up on everything on the internet you want.
Yeah. You can binge watch Obi-Wan and rage out to Twitter.
That's one thing I have to catch up on. I have not caught up on Obi-Wan yet.
I'm not going to spoil anything.
Okay, so we better not be talking about it.
I won't be talking about it.
Yeah, I am woefully behind. I've been busy this last month, and so I'm woefully behind on my Star Trek and my Obi-Wan and all the other shows I like to watch.
Yes, Strange New Worlds and Obi-Wan. I got caught up with all of those. I will say, seriously impressed with both series.
Okay.
Have you watched any Strange New Worlds yet?
I watched the first episode.
Okay.
I haven't had a chance to because those are such long episodes now. They're like almost mini movies.
Right.
Because they're about what? Because like the first one was like almost an hour and a half long. You might have been over that.
No,
it's pretty long.
No, I think they're all standard runtime. They're all.
Sorry.
Yeah, Strange New Worlds.
New Worlds. I was thinking Stranger Things.
Strange New Worlds. Yeah,
Stranger Things. Yeah, Strange New Worlds. No, I have. I'm only behind on Strange New Worlds by 2 episodes.
Okay.
So I'm pretty caught up with that one. But yes, I've actually been really enjoying those as well. And I haven't. I'm behind 2 on Strange New Worlds. I'm behind 2 on the Orville. I just caught up with The Boys. Mm-hmm. So I'm a little bit behind. I'm kind of ill-prepared.
Anyway, every Talking Heads has a sponsor, and you'd know that if you watch the show regularly, so thank you for joining us on our new time slot. But as always, this show is brought to you by Linode. If you've ever needed to host your own servers, whether it be for home or business, but don't have the resources or time to invest into hardware, power, cooling, or even space, why not let Linode host them for you? If it runs on Linux, it'll run on Linode. That includes the software for most of the tutorials you'll find on my channel, like how to run your own ad-blocking, recursive DNS server, VPN gateway, your own cloud-based Plex server, and more. Easy for me to say. With shared CPU plans starting at as little as $5 per month and scaling up to as high as you need to go, you'll be able to find a hosting plan that fits your needs. Even if you do host your own servers, you can use Linode to keep a backup off-site. Because remember, RAID is not a backup. Linode also recently announced they are the first alternative cloud provider to have NVMe block storage available to all customers. Back in September, they began rolling out NVMe drives to all 11 of their global data centers. Best of all, storage rates will remain at the same low price they always have been. Visit linode.com/craftcomputing and get a $100 60-day credit just for signing up for a new account. That's linode.com/craftcomputing, and thanks again to Linode for sponsoring today's episode.
Yes, thanks, Linode.
Thank you, Linode. Steve can drink for another day.
Thanks, Linode. It won't explode. I guess.
Thanks to Linode, it won't explode? I
guess.
You got to get the...
I'm trying here.
Steve, I thought we agreed to leave the writing to me.
Oh, well, it's always just a suggestion.
Sorry, just needed an aside with my co-host there. Anyway, what else we got here? I don't know if you saw last week on the show, we covered a quick story about the Raspberry Pi Pico being used as a very inexpensive, essentially cartridge hack for the Nintendo 64. Devices like the EverDrive or backup to SD or even back in the day, you could back up ROMs onto like CDs and things. Those have always been extremely expensive endeavors for the reverse engineering required to bypass Nintendo security or Sega security or whoever to create a card with a bootloader or create a cartridge with a bootloader on it that would interface with an SD card that would load your ROMs on demand, save all your states, and do everything else. To be able to essentially play your retro games on retro hardware, but in a more convenient form factor.
Yeah.
Well, last week, the Raspberry Pi Pico, Raspberry Pi's 2040 microcontroller, came to the rescue with a Nintendo 64 cartridge that did just that. It contained a bootloader and a simple menu, and you could load ROMs straight off of an SD card. This week, they're bringing that trick, or someone with a Raspberry Pi Pico is bringing that trick to the Gamecube. Essentially doing a solderless mod chip for the Gamecube that allows you to load games directly off of an SD card via a memory slot adapter.
Quick correction: it's not solderless. You do have to do some soldering.
Oh, is there? Okay.
Yes,
I
there's
thought
a little bit of soldering.
I thought they had done a clamp. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's some soldering that has to be done. But it's only like 3 points, so it's not like 3 or 4 points. It's not like a ton of soldering.
Yeah.
Because I was actually quite interested in this because I still have my original GameCube, and
so
I'm
like,
I'm like, look at this. This is interesting. Oh, okay. But I'm like, okay, there's a little bit of soldering going on, but it's not too bad. It's not like there's a lot of micro soldering that you have to do. The contacts are pretty big, and I think it looks like it's only 4 or 5 points that you have to do.
Yeah, there's a couple for this I2C chip right here, and then it looks like 3 points on some test pads.
Yeah, and I think there's a ground that you have to solder as well. But if you watch the video down there, they kind of go through it. It's a pretty thorough, quick setup on how it's done, and it's very interesting because like it's great. You can just power the thing right up. All your games are right there on the SD. It still works with your old discs. You can still pop your discs in, and it still works. So I'm like, ooh.
That to me, I think is the coolest thing. Is it allows you to use your SD card via the memory card slot as a bootloader, but it doesn't necessarily permanently modify your native boot ROM or hardware in any meaningful way. Yeah, you're soldering wires to it, but your disk reader still works. You're not swapping that out for other hardware. A lot of the mods that I've seen for the GameCube that are like ROM booting systems have been like replacing the optical drive with an SD reader and or adding a hard drive into, there was a hard drive slot for network adaptation and things like that. Those are cool, but at the same time, they're permanent modifications of the hardware. And I like that this is just like bypassing the hardware with the use of a couple wires. Yeah.
And you can always take the solderings off and remove the Pico, and it's just back to normal.
Yeah, there's no permanent hardware or software modifications needed. So very, very cool thing. Plus, the Raspberry Pi Pico now comes with Wi-Fi. So in theory, you could actually map a network share to your Raspberry Pi and
just constantly have updates. Yeah,
and load GameCube games directly over your network.
That'd be awesome.
Right? Wonder what the latency would be with that.
Yeah, because it probably couldn't map everything or couldn't load everything into memory right away, even though GameCube games aren't huge. But
you're still talking multiple gigs for some of the larger ones.
Yes, that's true.
Like Breath of the Wild, I think is like 1.1 gig, or not Breath of the Wild, but Wind Waker is 1.1 gigs, and some of them get up there. You've got like GoldenEye Rogue Agent, I know is another big one. I think that's a 1.5 gig ROM. Time Splitters is up there. So yeah, but no, very cool. I love seeing inexpensive solutions to things like this because, like I said, modifying consoles has always been a very expensive endeavor. Yeah, and so the use of the Raspberry Pi Pico has been just kind of a breath of fresh air into this entire community of retro modders and resto modders, I guess you could call them if you want to use the car colloquialism. Yeah. And the N64 one's kind of nice because, it's just cartridge based. There's really no hardware modifications as far. Just one cartridge done. Yep. This one's a little different because, the GameCube was a first disc-based Nintendo. And so there's going to have to be some kind of hardware modification because there is, I think, some software hacks that you can do where you have a loader and it will load some other software in there. But I think it's just because of how it is per game, it's different. Right. So this is a more one size fits all solution where it doesn't matter. Every game will work. It'll all work on the hardware again. It's pretty sweet. Technica Vivient says if they ever get that going on the NES or SNES, I'll lose my mind. I wouldn't be surprised if in the very near future you saw something for that, because I wouldn't be surprised either. Because the Nintendo 64 uses a modified version of the NES and SNES lockout chip. There's a great video by MVG Gamer or MVG Modern Vintage Gamer. Where he breaks down the copy protection of the NES, SNES, and N64. And the SNES and SNES both share the exact same copy protection chip. And it was actually reverse engineered by but it was actually a games vendor that reverse engineered it so they could use things like Game Genie and other tech on there. But it was the same chip on the SNES, and then it's a modified chip, but the same core technology and core algorithm in the Nintendo 64. So because they've already figured out the N64, I guarantee this is literally plug and play into the NES.
Oh yeah, probably. I would assume so. I mean, they've had tech like this for like the DS, some of the older Game Boys and stuff like that too, where they had like cartridge loading type of thing where you just put in your SD card. I've had those for years, but this is the first time they've had like home kits using the Pico for for the main consoles, which is cool.
Yeah,
it really is.
I had a loader for my DS. I had a loader for my 3DS. And I've had loaders for a couple other consoles as well. So it's really cool to see some of the retro consoles starting to get into that
loaders,
in an affordable way.
Yeah, exactly.
We do have a couple super chats to jump back to. Denver sends over $5. Thank you very much, Denver. You kid, but this should be faster than L1 charging. L1 charging is normally 700 to 1200 watts. This looks like 1600 watt of solar panel and greatly increased drag. Talking about the Tesla charger.
Yes. I would agree, yeah.
Yeah, in theory, this could be top end level 1 or level 2 charging. So you're not going to get level 3. You're not going to get supercharging, but 1600 watts of peak. It could definitely be up there. Although they're advertising 1600 watts, it's probably in the neighborhood of like 1200 concurrent or 1200 sustained wattage. So I'm guessing a high-end level 1 charger. Ryan Sharp sends over $5. Thank you, Ryan. Fold down all the seats and have a mobile LAN party. Talking about my van. Yeah, actually, the thought crossed my mind.
A mobile LAN party. You can like get the Tesla trailer and hook the car up to it so it charges the car.
There you go. 1600 watts.
There you go.
I got 30 amps behind me.
Yeah.
Tech Geek sends over another $5. Thank you very much. GameSphere is only the most sophisticated gaming experience ever created by humans, and it's spherical.
He's talking about the Okami GameSphere.
Oh, okay.
From South Park.
Yes. Okay. It's funny, we were just talking about references about that old.
Yeah.
Before we started the show.
Oh my god, it's the Okami GameSphere.
God damn it, Cal. Sean says, Craft Computing got into Raspberry Pis a couple years ago, and man, it has come a long way since. Yeah, I bought some of the original Raspberry Pis. I have an original 256 megabyte Raspberry Pi Model B that was manufactured in China, and you know that because it's the red PCB, not the green one. That's how long I've been into them. And I've bought, I don't want to say hundreds of them, but it's probably close over the years because I've used them for dozens upon dozens of different projects, from digital signage rollouts to remote access machines to Pi holes and routers and little DHCP network servers and things like that. I mentioned last week that I used to run a remote event photography business, and I used Raspberry Pis to control DSLR cameras that were set up remotely. I've used, so it's amazing what the Raspberry Pi has done to the maker community to make not only hardware modification, but software engineering accessible to everyone. And that was the overall goal of that project to begin with. And to see the success that they have had is really remarkable.
To sum up, Raspberry Pis are cool.
Oh, apparently Cosworth sent over a super chat, and I forgot. My bad, Cosworth.
Oh. Okay.
$5. More used Tesla reviews and retro-styled fridge and freezer reviews.
Retro-styled.
You know, there's going to come a time where you can pick up like a Tesla Model 3 for like $8,000. I think that's the day I review a Tesla Model 3. Like, think about how much I've spent for some tech reviews on the channel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, think of like my cloud gaming server and think of things like that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that I would necessarily buy a Model 3 just to review, but if I could buy a Model 3 and then Tesla swap my 350Z.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, we can talk. We can talk.
You have to become like more of a car tuber. You have to put like a third thing on there. You got
right.
Tech, beer, and car news.
There you go. I could seriously see myself becoming a car tuber if I got just a little bit more free time. Like,
yeah, you got plenty of that, right?
Overflowing, Steve.
Yeah, so much. You're literally just sitting there twiddling your thumbs, staring at the wall.
What do I want to do today?
Yeah. How's that beer treating you? You almost done?
It's delicious.
Mm-hmm.
This is... I've been saying for like the last 3 or 4 or 5 months, every hazy I have now gets a little bit better because they finally figured out how to bring out all the flavors and get rid of all the crap.
You know, I was just talking about this the other day too, because I've been noticing a lot of these IPAs. It used to be with stouts and porters and stuff like that. You would let them warm up a little bit because you would get these really different flavors out of them.
Right.
I've been noticing that more and more with hazies.
Yes.
Where as the IPAs warm up and the types of hops that they use in that, you get completely different flavors out of them. More fruity flavors, melon flavors, stuff like that. Whereas in the past, IPAs, especially Northwest IPAs, the warmer they got, the kind of skunkier they got, the almost like more bitter flavors came out. Where with these IPAs, these hazy IPAs, you tend to get more juicy, fruity notes when you wait and warm up.
Right.
So I've been kind of actually quite enjoying taking these IPAs and just sipping on them and taking a little bit more time, because towards the second half I experienced something completely different than the first half.
Yeah. Yeah, this one, it's really funny because you normally attribute hazy IPAs to super acidic and highly tropical, and I've never heard one described as smooth. Like that's one word that just doesn't, they don't line up. This one, the more you drink it, the more it becomes like a cream ale.
Yes. And you remember when we first started having hazies, even on this channel, we would always comment about, oh, this tastes great, but man, that acid burn is just really burns.
This tastes great for the first 4 ounces.
Yeah, exactly. And now we're not really getting that anymore.
No.
They've really figured out the balance and how to get it just right. They've got it dialed in.
Yeah, how to get that super sweet tropical, not the IPA citrus flavors, not the orange and the guava and the passion fruit and things like that, but like the pineapple and those kinds of things to really pop out, which is a completely different flavor of hop, and it really does some magical things with the flavors. So
absolutely. And we're kind of lucky because we live in an area where they're kind of at the forefront of developing new hops. And I don't know if you've ever been to Topwire around here. Have you been to Topwire yet?
Yes.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, close to our area, there's a tap house called Topwire. And it is literally in the middle of a hop field owned by Crosby Farms.
Yep.
And all the beers there are made from the experimental hops, or the hops that they grow there. Some of them are experimental, not all of them, but and the beers are only from their hops. So you get to go there and try, okay, this is what this tastes like, this is what they're growing, this is what they're working on. Very fun, especially if you go in midsummer when the hops are just growing and you're just surrounded by it. Excellent venue. Very cool. Yeah. And then they harvest it and you feel like, oh God, you feel like after you just shaved or something, it's like everything's all naked.
My drive home used to be by 2 of the 3 largest hop fields in Oregon, and that's saying something.
Yeah, those are huge.
Yeah, I used to drive by those hop fields, and man, September with the top down,
you can smell it.
Oh man, you're just driving by going, oh mosaic.
Yeah, you can smell it. Yeah.
You could smell the hops, and it was wonderful. And occasionally I'd get stuck behind some of the hauling trucks.
Yes, I remember
like,
too. And
oh,
some of the hops go flying off too. You get pelted with lupulins.
Yeah, driving the convertible down those roads is still one of my favorite things to do, and I still will buzz by those roads in late summer, just to drive by the hop fields. I mean, it's wonderful. But yeah, when harvest time comes, in 1 week they're gone. In 1 week, it goes from like hops as far as the eye can see to the desolation of smog.
It's pretty interesting. Because it does. It's like it comes like it was one of the most beautiful venues I've been to. Yeah, and like a week later, it's like, okay, this is kind of I don't know if I want to be here anymore.
Right.
It's like I'm drinking beer in the middle of a dirt field.
Yeah.
but yeah, no. Actually, one of the most pleasant aromas I've ever had is actually went after they harvested hops. I've been into one of the barns where they're drying. Like as far as the eye can see, just racks and racks of hops that are drying. Yep. And that was like the most pleasant aroma I've ever smelled in my life. It was like, oh my God, that smells so good.
You know what smells even better? Miners' tears.
Oh yes, they taste delicious too.
They taste delicious. So I'm gonna open this Quilter's Irish Death in memoriam of Ethereum miners here. So you dropped this one in as a feel good story, and man, is this the feel good story of the year?
I absolutely agree. Yes.
So apparently over the last 2 years, unless you were one of the top dogs and got in very early, newsflash, most Ethereum miners lost money over the last 24 months.
Mm-hmm.
Aww.
So sad.
Oh no.
Feel bad.
Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Goodbye.
Should we do the Kirk shocked?
Oh.
Yeah. Aww.
Yeah. So apparently, and hopefully this is a lesson for, the next release, the 4000 series, that, cryptocurrency, if you spend a bunch of money trying to get these video cards, you might not be getting your money back. And I really liked how Tom
I don't feel bad at all.
Down. Yeah, no, I don't either. I like how they really broke it down, where it's like, if you did it, you had to do it at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And they did it 3 different ways. They said, okay, if you bought right at the launch of the 3000 series and started mining Ethereum, how much you would get right now. And they're taking it under the guise that you held on to the cryptocurrency you actually mined.
Right.
You didn't sell it. You just held on to it because you thought, well, cryptocurrency is going to keep going up and up. If you held on to it and didn't sell it, right now there would be like, I think if you bought a RTX 3090, you would have profited $254. That's it.
Right.
That's ideal situation.
Ideal situation for an RTX 3090. If you were mining Ethereum literally since the release of the 3090, your net profit was $254 per card. Yeah. Now, if we scroll over on this list, if you were unfortunate enough to get an AMD graphics card, you could be looking at losses of $500 for a 200 and for a what was the launch price of the 6600 XT?
I don't remember.
$650. You spent $650 on a 6600 XT. You could be looking at a loss of $504.
Yeah.
So literally, it costs you $1,100 to mine on a 6600 XT.
Yeah, and this was at the release of these cards.
The surprising one is even the 6900 XT with a $432 net loss.
Mm-hmm.
Now these GPU prices, I will say, they don't reflect the retail cost of these cards, because the 6900 XT was a $1,000 card. And when I bought the 6900 XT, I paid $1,000. It was possible to buy them at retail cost. And like cards like the 3090, This should have been a $1,500 card and not a $2,500 card. And so these approximate GPU costs are inflated above the MSRP quite significantly, almost to the top of where the market was for these GPUs. So keep that in mind with these numbers. But with the lower end cards, you're still looking at a pretty hefty loss. Like for 6600 XT, I believe that's a $400 card. That's only a $250 difference. You're still looking at $250 in loss.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it gets even worse for people who like waited a couple months and they started seeing like, oh, there's a trend. Let's hurry up and get on it.
Right.
The losses are even worse. There's like no profitability whatsoever in any card that you bought.
Yep.
So it's only the people that started at the beginning and that were smart. Now it looks better for people who started at the beginning and like were selling, and if they sold at peak, they would actually make money.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much not anybody. There's like hardly anybody that probably did that. Maybe the luckiest people in the world. But
the chart that'll make everyone smile is the one that if you started mining on June 1st, 2021, there's a second chart. This one made me this one made me smile because this one is actually probably pretty accurate. Because these inflated costs are, well, right about in line with what GPUs were selling for June 1st, 2021, just a little over a year ago. If you bought an RTX 3090, you are for $2,500, you are in the hole with that an additional $1,700. It cost you $4,200 for that 3090.
Yes. You got nothing out of that.
Right. Oh, and by the way, you could probably buy that card for like $1,200 today.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, this when I saw this article, I'm like, oh yes, so delicious. Yes. So delicious.
People are pointing out shocked Pikachu. Yeah. I mean, there's so many memes that apply to this to this article.
We were talking about before. It was like we couldn't just think of one. There's just so many of them.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, good times. Good times.
Yeah, and of course this is just an estimate, and they're just using calculations that they thought. But given how bad crypto crashed, this is not unbelievable. This seems realistic to me, and it just made me chuckle and laugh. I'm just like, oh god. And the nice thing is because they inflated the cost of the GPUs. There's a good chance that I might get at MSRP a 4000 series at 50% increase in power.
Right. Yay!
Yay for me! I came out ahead. The sandwich heavy portfolio wins.
Yeah. Gosh, what was the Zoidberg quote?
I think it said the sandwich heavy portfolio or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like a sandwich.
At last, I'm a prudent investor.
Or something like that.
Yes. Oh no, I'm ruined. Yep. So, on the upside for miners, and I mean miners as in those who mine, there is an upside that if you got in at the right time and you sold at the right time and played the market exactly right, there's actually pretty good dividends to be made in mining. But if you were the average Joe who jumped into this because, well, everyone's mining, I guess I should probably start that, you probably lost money.
Yeah.
But the reason that mining was so popular and so heavy, especially in scale, was because of dividends like this, where for every RTX 3090 since September of 2020, you have the potential to make $10,461. Like your least profitable cards are in the $1,700 realm, or $223 for a 6600 XT.
Yeah, that's counting for ideal situations. You bought the card at MSRP right at the beginning, and then you mined from that point on, and then you sold at peak.
Right.
That's the ideal conditions.
Right.
And that's
if you held your cryptocurrency until June of this year, you lost money.
Mm-hmm.
If you held until March 1st, you still lost money. If you sold back in, what was it, November, when Ethereum peaked at, what was it, 2,800 or something like that?
Yeah.
You made money. But the problem is the bottom fell out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Because, well, all the people who had invested early had already made their money, and they wanted to leave someone holding the bag.
Yep. And all the late adopters were holding the bag.
Yep. Ryan says Dr. Evil has entered the chat. $100 billion. It's 1967. That kind of money doesn't even exist yet. Zip it.
Yeah, but yeah, it's always good to know.
www.zipit.com.org.
It's always good to know that the last 2 years of just struggling and trying to get a video card, those people who caused that have gotten their comeuppance.
Yes.
Pretty much have gotten their comeuppance.
Right. And now they have to sell their cards for less than retail.
Yes. And then we can scoop them up if we want to.
Yay!
Or not. It's up to us.
I get to do more cloud gaming stuff. Oh, trust me, I've been waiting for the Titan Vs, the Voltas, that have pretty much been unobtainium their entire lifespan to all of a sudden be done with mining. I almost got one last year for like $400.
Ooh, that would have been good.
Yeah, I was like, I heard it was for sale, and I went, I'll take it. I don't care what condition it's in. I don't care if it comes with a cooler. I don't care. I will take it. And it's like, ooh, yeah, they already sold. It's like, there have been so many opportunities like that over the last couple of years where it's like, yeah, this guy is selling that. I'll take it. And by the time I can even respond, it's like, yeah, they already sold it. It's like, okay. Boy, I'm not sure if I need to start stocking this or not because of current contract employers who may or may not be working on site for me most days. But PBR has released a massive case of beer, and I mean absolutely massive. You can now buy Pabst Blue Ribbon in a 1,844 can case.
Oh yeah. You need a flatbed truck to haul this case out of the store.
Yeah.
That's I mean, the number 1844 is significant because that's, I think, the year of the founding of Pabst, the brewery.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an oddly specific number.
Right. Yes, you would say 1840. That seems kind of weird, right? But no, it's the year of their founding. So they're like, okay, marketing. Pabst have always done that kind of thing with marketing. They did the 1776 beer. They did the 99 beer pack. So this is not unusual, but this is their record-breaking pack.
Yes.
Of 1844.
Yeah, we talked about actually both their previous large packs, the 1776 and the 99 case, which was available in a 2x2 tube of cans of beer.
Yeah. Oh, so
with like one duct taped on the side.
Yeah.
We can get to 98. There we go, 99.
Surprisingly, the 1884 pack it only goes for $50. It's pretty cheap. It's Pabst. No, I don't know how much it's for, but no, they only made like 250 of these, so there's not that many.
Yeah, 200 of these 1844 packs, and they didn't distribute them very wide. So, you're gonna need to shop high and low if you want to find one for yourself. No word on price. However, it said the company is giving away $1,844 every day in July to various charities, which I think is also a fantastic way to commemorate this. So
no, I thought that was a pretty interesting. Pabst always increasing their giant packages. I look forward to the 2000 pack here in the future. I'm sure in the next couple of years we'll get one.
What else we got?
What else we got?
Mapping regional grilling and barbecue trends.
Yes, I thought this was particularly interesting just because it's barbecue season. We got barbecue season going on, and I don't know if you guys barbecued this 4th of July. I did a little bit.
I did.
I did too. What did you drink when you barbecued?
Drink. I was doing is it Block 15? Trying to remember. Yeah, it was a Block 15. It's a fruited wheat ale, something of shade, shades of summer, summer shade, fruited shade, something like that. 5.5% back fruited wheat beer, and it's fantastic. It was lemon and raspberry. It tasted like a raspberry lemonade, with like some German barley on the back end.
Right.
Like it, good stuff.
Oh yeah. I like a nice super hoppy IPA when I grill. So I did the Tricera hops from Ninkasi, which is, I mean, it's a super hoppy beer.
Yes.
But I like it. It was good. But this particular survey, based on Twitter data, so geotagged Twitter data, what people were drinking when they were barbecuing. And what they were going on, and they did it by regions and type of beer. Right. Now,
there's also a whole bunch of other stats in this survey, which I thought was interesting as well, including what do you call a barbecue? Is it a barbecue or is it a cookout? Is it? Are you doing propane? Are you doing pellets? Are you doing briquettes? Like, do you sell propane and propane accessories? Like there's a whole ton of different charts inside this list. So the top 10 cookout states, or sorry, let's go by this. Do you call it barbecue or cookout? There's some interesting regional trends here. So the upper, I don't even want to call this Midwest, just the upper Western states. So you've got the Dakotas and you've got Montana and Idaho. They call it a cookout.
Right. That's kind of weird.
And usually they trend from like Oregon, Washington, like those who want to like live out in the country from Oregon, they'll move to Idaho or Montana. And so they usually follow our trends, but they call it cookout. Whereas the majority of the Eastern Seaboard up to Ohio, so the Midwest, I hate that Ohio is Midwest. Like, come on.
Yeah.
You're still Eastern time zone, for crying out loud. You're not Midwest.
Yeah, Ohio's not Midwest.
Right.
I don't think so.
Right. I live further inland than Ohio is, and and that's not saying much. But yeah, everything except, what is that, Tennessee?
Yeah, Tennessee's the holdout.
Yeah, Tennessee's the holdout for barbecue.
And New York.
Everything else in the South and whatnot, with the exception of Florida, is cookout.
Yeah.
I thought that one was really interesting.
Yeah, it just seems to be a weird smattering, because you would think it'd be regional, right? It would be like, definitely the East Coast would call it cookout. Well, like they used to, they call it, hoagies and grinders over here. We call them subs over here, type of a thing. It's
right.
Like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What I find really peculiar is it's regional, but it's regional splits, the likes of which I've never seen before.
Yes, I know. Like you said, like
Idaho, you've got this weird northwestern region that's not north, or it's north, but it's definitely not west.
The Oregon, Washington, Idaho dichotomy is weird to me, because I would think that it would be a barbecue in Idaho.
Idaho follows Oregon, Washington.
Yeah. Idaho's part of what we consider the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The term cookout prevalence is most prevalent in the Carolinas and Georgia, and then you got Virginia up here, but not that prevalent elsewhere. Barbecue is a lot more prevalent elsewhere, although, still not that shaded of a map. So, I mean, you've got like Iowa and Tennessee leading the charge here.
Oh yeah. Well, you definitely. I mean, there is a Tennessee style barbecue, so you would believe that Tennessee would keep it the barbecue tradition.
Correct. Anyway, most popular barbecue beverage by state.
This made me ashamed to be in the Pacific Northwest.
You know, I'm gonna take the W here.
Okay.
Because at least we're not drinking a light domestic.
That's true.
Like,
but White Claw, we got White Claw.
We got
a beer.
We got White Claw, but look at the alternatives. It was Budweiser, Bud Light, Coors Light, Busch, or Miller Lite.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was the only other things that popped up on the list. If I'm going to have my choice at a cookout or at a barbecue, it's probably going to be like a Black Cherry White Claw.
Okay.
Like,
really?
Given the alternatives.
Okay, given the alternatives listed here, I probably would have taken a Budweiser over a White Claw. I don't know. I don't know about a Bud Light. Maybe even Miller. I'd probably take a Miller Lite over a White Claw too.
Nope.
Actually,
I'll take a White Claw over everything on that list.
Really? I don't know. I've had some really good seltzers, but White Claw ain't one of them. Yeah. I think they're just okay. And I'd much rather have a Budweiser.
They're okay, but to me, they're not like if I have regular soda and diet soda, I can't stand diet soda.
I can't stand diet soda.
I will drink water over diet soda.
Yes, me too.
I feel the same way about a lot of domestics, and it's
really?
Like I just flat out won't drink Budweiser, Bud Light, Miller Lite, Busch Light, Coors Light. I think they're gross. I legitimately, I cannot stand the taste of them.
I don't disagree with you. They don't taste great.
And I'm not coming from like an uppity or better than thou or whatnot. I'm coming from I just don't like them. And so, like, given the choice between, like, I've got, like, a Kirkland Lime Seltzer or a Budweiser. Yeah, give me the seltzer all day long. It's 5%. It's higher ABV than Budweiser anyway.
Here's the thing that kind of, because, like, of all those things...
And it's light, refreshing, low calorie. Like, what's not to like?
I would actually prefer like a Cerveza, like a Corona or a Modelo or something. I would take those over any of those right there easily.
I won't take one of those. I still won't take one of those. I don't like the really inexpensive like Mexican Pilsners and lagers and things like it's all in the same category. And I've talked about this.
You get them ice cold with the lime in it. It tastes really good.
I've talked about this a couple of times.
Cold, yeah.
I do come from a position where in Oregon, we have something called a bottle return. We have a deposit on our bottles. In high school, my job was to maintain the bottle machines at the local grocer. So imagine the stank of 9-month-old, rotten, fermenting domestic beer. You think Corona is skunky out of the bottle?
Oh, no. I know exactly how that smells. I know how it smells.
Right. And so that was a lot of my job when I was like a senior in high school. Was taking care of those machines and maintaining and cleaning the insides of those and getting like glass dust stuck halfway up my arm from cleaning glass return machines. And God, it was awful. And so like part of me is like, yeah, craft beer just tastes better. But it's also from the standpoint of like, I had to smell that crap for 12 months.
Yeah.
And to me, it just brings up all those bad memories all at once. And I never want to experience that smell again.
Oh, well, thank God. Okay, so I don't know how other states do it. Because I know there's other states that have deposits, but Oregon's one of the more, we have the 10-cent deposit now.
10 cent, yeah. Yeah, it's us in Michigan who are 10 cent.
Okay. But we also have a company called Bottle Drop here. Where they sell bags. There's a particular bag, and you have a QR code with your account on it.
Yep.
And the bags are more expensive than normal trash bags, but that's how they make their money. So you literally just fill their bags with your bottles, and you just take it and drop it off.
Yep.
You don't have to go to the can machines. You don't have to do anything like that. Super convenient. Just take it. Yeah, they take a small percentage.
Yeah.
But man, is it so worth it not to have put your hands in that sticky, smelly, old, gross. Let them do it.
Yeah.
It's so much better. So much better.
I had to work in those rooms for a year in high school, and so that turned me off to beer until I was 25. Like,
Right.
I didn't want anything to do with beer because that's the only smell I had ever experienced.
Associated with it, yeah. Like,
Right.
how can anybody like this thing? This is gross.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And even today, like I don't drink, just flat out, I won't drink domestic beer because I can't get over that smell. And they all have the same smell once they're like 3 months old.
Oh yeah, no, I don't disagree. Like I think you're right. Mexican lagers have it worse smelling as they sit around longer. Domestics, I don't think as much because I think there's more rice in them, but they still stink.
But I hate that ricey taste anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. There's a reason why they tell you to drink it ice cold.
Right. Cold as the Rockies.
Drink it ice cold so you don't taste how crappy it is.
Brewed cold, transported cold, to be drank cold. Yeah, because God forbid it hit room temperature. Holy crap.
That's kind of why I don't mind drinking it ice cold on a hot day when I'm barbecuing, because I really can't taste anything. It's just a slight beer flavor, and that's about it.
Right, but at the same time,
it's not my preference. Absolutely not my preference.
There are 150 craft beers. More than that, even. There are hundreds of craft beers I would rather drink at a barbecue than any domestic.
100%. Absolutely.
And I put White Claws above them.
See, I wouldn't put White Claws above them.
I put White Claws above domestics.
It's pretty close to it. If you get the right domestic, like I'll take.
But see, you're going like, I would take a Miller Lite, maybe a Bud, and I'm going, I'd maybe take a White Claw. Like, I'm still going to dig through and look for, like, that Sam Adams. Or,
right. Oh, yeah, no, I'll take a Sam Adams before any of that.
Right, like, give me a Boston Lager any day. Like, that's actually a good beer. There's your all-day IPA from Founders. There's some lighter craft beers out there that are pretty darn good.
Now, what we're talking here is we're really, like, fighting over how far will you scrape down into the barrel?
Right.
Do you want to go?
How far am I willing to limbo?
Yeah, exactly. This is our best of the worst right here.
Right.
What is our best of the worst?
Anyway, Jack Daniels is in the news. They have a whiskey so high proof they had to design a special cork so it would stay on the bottle and not deteriorate.
Yes. I am actually interested in finding this, but reading the article,
I kind of want this too.
There's pretty much no chance because I think they're only selling it in Tennessee.
Right.
So
I don't know that I have a lot of Tennessee viewers, but if I do have some Tennessee viewers, if you can get me a bottle of this, I will reimburse you for double. I will pay for shipping, and I will double your money back.
Yeah.
I want one of these bottles.
Yeah, and they have this. They have the smaller version. I don't know if they just do smaller versions, but I did read that they had different proofs.
Yeah.
So this is a single barrel, and the single barrel, and I don't know if people know this, but distilleries, because I've actually been to a couple distilleries before, and when you're making whiskey specifically, where the barrels are fermenting makes a big difference.
Oh, totally.
They'll have huge warehouses, and then if you have them up higher versus down low, just the air pressure alone,
if you have them against the wall, against an outside wall versus against an inside wall, it will make a difference. Heat makes a huge difference.
Yep.
Airflow around the cask, like every little thing. Yeah, Jeff putting out a bounty. You're darn right I am. If someone goes by the Jack Daniels distillery and picks up a bottle, I will double your money back. Anyway, this particular whiskey is a small batch release of Coy Hill High Proof. And was originally released as a single barrel expression. It's based on their old number 7 recipe, but it is super high proof. It is straight out of the bottle or mixed directly out of barrels. They had essentially 5 different barrel proofs that they've mixed down to get their final batch. The 5 barrels that they mixed were 143, 147, 150, 153, and 155 proof.
Yeah. To get the 155 proof would be excellent.
Right. Sean wants to know, have I tried Utopia by Sammy? Not by Sammy Smith. I've got a Samuel Smith stout, and I think I said last week it's the worst stout that I've ever had in my life.
Sam Adams is a mixed bag for me because some of it's good and some of it's bad.
No. He's talking Sammy Smith. Samuel Smith, which is
they do the organic stuff. Like
they do the organic stout.
Yeah, right. I know what you're talking about.
We will be getting a bottle of Utopia this year, like flat out.
Well, no. Utopia is by
Sam Adams, right?
Yes. Sammy Smith is they do the organic ones. So
correct.
Those are UK. Well, back to the whiskey.
Back to the whiskey, yeah.
Back to the whiskey.
So they have mixed those 5 barrels and then diluted them down ever so slightly to hit somewhere between 137 and 148 proof. That's 75% ABV.
That's crazy.
So you know how we all tasted the world's strongest beer last year?
Yeah.
This is higher than that.
Yes.
Right. That was 71%. This is pushing 75.
Yeah. This would be excellent to try. I mean, I'm not a huge fan. Okay, I'm of normal Jack Daniels. Of all the whiskeys, I do not like regular Jack Daniels that much.
Neither do
I. But
Gentleman Jack, pretty good.
Gentleman Jack's pretty good, yes. Yeah. But some of their specialty ones I've had it, and I thought they were quite good. So I would be like super stoked to try something like this. And the reason why it got so high, it was I guess they stored the barrels in a higher elevation in the warehouse, and so there was a higher Angel's cut.
Yeah, higher barometric pressure, which leads to a higher Angel's cut, right?
Yeah, Angel's cut is the evaporation of the liquid. So there's
it's the absorption into the wood.
No, the absorption of the wood
that's
is Devil's cut.
That's right.
That's Devil's cut. Absorption was Devil's cut. Evaporation is Angel's cut.
That's right.
Yeah. So, so there was an unusual high amount. So it's like that's why this one's such a rare find, because it was a higher percentage of Angel's cut.
Yep.
And what did they say? It's only $55.
$55. You can get it through the distillery shop. $55.
That's not bad.
So literally, I will pay you back for shipping plus $110 plus tax. Like I'll pay for your tax too. Totally cool.
That's a money making opportunity right there for anybody who lives in Tennessee.
If someone lives near or around the Jack Daniel's distillery, if you visit the store and you ship me a bottle, I will double your money.
There you go. Money making opportunity right there.
Yep.
And then if that happens, I'm going to be coming to Jeff's house.
Oh, we've got to make a video or two on that.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. I'll trade you a sip of that for some pickle beer.
Ooh. Steve will no longer be invited.
No, I'd never force you to drink pickle beer. Although it'd be funny. I think it'd be fun.
You'd try.
I'm never going to force you, but I think there's like a lot of entertainment value in it. I think people would tune in. Do a pay-per-view type of Jeff drinks a pickle beer. Sunday.
I don't even want to put that on Patreon. Like, that's asking for trouble.
And you got to get that. We got to get the most like rank tasting pickle. Actually, of all the pickle beers I've had, none of them were actually bad. The only rank one that I've ever had was the cheese popcorn beer. That one was absolutely rank and foul.
See, you say that, but like we had like the pepperoni pizza beer.
Yeah. I liked it and you didn't. I know. I get that. We have different tastes, obviously. I have to call it for what it was, and if this was Untapped, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3.50, like a 3.5 out of 5, because it was freaking liquid pepperoni pizza. Yeah, I know.
It was pepperoni pizza soaked in Bud Light.
Yeah,
and
I thought it was. I mean,
and God bless them, that's exactly what it was.
Well, that's why I kind of like that pickle relish mustard beer. It's like, I don't want to drink a whole pint of this, but man, it tastes exactly what they said. They put out a product. They didn't mince around with their advertising, and nope, it tastes like mustard and pickle relish.
Right, and see, that's where you and I get into trouble, is because we rate beer based on what does the brewer think it should be.
Yeah.
Because John will like Hops and Brews, John will taste a beer and go, that's really good. And it's like, yeah, but I didn't get 3 out of the 4 things they said I should be tasting.
Right. Yeah.
Like, whatever they were trying for, they missed.
Yeah. One of the biggest, like, and I actually hated the beer, not because it was a bad beer. So a while back, I'm still kind of soured on New Belgian beers because of this. They had like a limited release of Ben and Jerry's ice cream beers.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, oh well, that sounds pretty great. Like, we're gonna have maybe some sweeter ice
little
cream,
fish food,
something like, yeah, we're gonna have some sweeter tasting, maltier, with some neat creamier, because it's it's supposed to be milk based. But when I got it, I tasted it. It didn't taste anything different than what New Belgium normally puts out. It literally just tasted like a fat tire. And I'm like, this sucks. This is all like marketing garbage. It's like maybe you threw in a couple pieces of the ingredients that they use for their beer and just market it like that. And it's like, okay, let's call it good. People are going to buy this no matter what. And I was like, that kind of soured me on New Belgium for like the longest time.
Right. Yeah. And I don't disagree with that, because I've had a number of beers that are like, that's really good, but you said it should have vanilla and coconut.
Yeah, and it doesn't taste like vanilla
There's
at all.
Nothing even resembling that within this flavor profile. And I bought this because it said vanilla and coconut. Mm-hmm. I wanted a vanilla coconut beer, and it's not there. Yeah. So yeah, you and I like rating beers with you, because it's like I read the back of the label and go yes or no.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
That's rule number 1. Yes, rule number 2 is it good?
Yeah. Yeah, no. If you have to do it as advertised. Just because you use a special ingredient, if that flavor does not come out, then you better bite it and say subdued flavors of this, or we added this, but hey, it might not be there. Because I've done that before too. I've done a beer, like my first attempt of making a jalapeno blueberry porter. I really wanted the jalapeno to be super prominent.
Yeah.
But when I drank it, I didn't taste it. There was like almost no spice whatsoever. It's like, all right, I bugged up.
Yeah.
I got to put more jalapenos in it next time.
Yeah.
So I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't tell
getting
anybody.
jalapeno to cut through without just having it be like heat is definitely a difficult task.
Yeah, because like from jalapeno to jalapeno, you could have a super spicy one.
Yeah.
And one that's not so spicy. So it's not super easy to do. But I was trying to clone a beer that I had in Florida one time, and it was like one of the best spiced beers, like spicy hot heat beers I've ever had, because it was the perfect balance of chocolatey, spicy, and sweet all at the same time. And I thought it was excellent. And I tried duplicating it at home, and I failed. I couldn't do it. It was a fine porter with a little bit of blueberry flavor to it, but it didn't have almost no spice to it whatsoever.
Yeah. And are you going for like that green jalapeno flavor, or are you going for like the little bit of heat with the jalapeno?
Well, like the little bit of heat. I want the little bit of heat.
Okay,
I don't mind a little bit of the green vegetable flavor too. That's okay too. But I want the little bit of that heat to it. I want the heat, sweet, and kind of like savory maltiness, I guess. I want kind of all good balance between everything.
Speaking of good balance, little number 1, little number 2. Beer made from recycled toilet water wins admirers in Singapore.
Oh, yes.
Steve, can you bring me up to date with this one?
Well, so I kind of read the article a little bit. This is a beer that was made exclusively with recycled toilet water, or sewage water to be precise. And I guess when you think about the grand scheme of things, all the beer we're drinking is made from recycled toilet water. Because, the whole ecosystem, water vapors. But no, this is directly from processed recycled sewage water, and apparently. They were saying that the mineral profile that came from this particular recycled water, actually helped the flavor of the beer. And as we all know, the type of yeah, exactly right. The type of water that you use does have a big impact on the flavor.
Very
of the beer.
impactful on the final
Yeah,
flavor.
if you have like water that tastes horrible, you're gonna have beer that tastes horrible.
Yeah.
If you have water that has like micronutrients and microminerals in there, it could help with the flavor of the beer.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, what was it when we went to Abel Baker down in Las Vegas?
Las Vegas, yeah.
Yeah, they were telling us about how they had to have this special clay filtration system.
Yes.
When they make their water, because the water in Las Vegas is so
it's
terrible tasting.
So hard. Yeah.
But Abel Baker made excellent beer. Their beer was great, but they had to have like an increased filtration system so the water that they put in their beer actually tasted better.
Yeah, we've actually seen a microcosm of that here in the local Willamette Valley, Oregon region.
Oh yeah.
There is God, they were in my head and they just went away. Vagabond.
Yeah.
Vagabond Brewing. They have a brewery in Salem. They have another brewery in Portland. They brew their beers. They brew one beer in Salem and they brew another beer in Portland, and then they ship between the two sites. Not because they're not able to brew the beer from Salem and Portland and vice versa, because like if you have the grain recipe, it's a beer, right?
Right.
No, because the water between the two sources is so vastly different. They wind up with two different beers.
Yeah.
They could use the same exact grain bill, same exact temperature, same exact fermentation process. They will end up with two vastly different beers at the end of it. And so they have figured out which beers they can brew in Salem and which beers they can brew in Portland, and then they will ship between the two facilities.
Yeah. And that's basically what happened here. And it's like they were using the recycled water from these processing plants and the micronutrients and micro minerals that weren't exactly filtered out. Not bad for you at all, but it changed the flavor of the water.
Totally.
And then in turn, when they used it to brew the beer tasted better. So depending on your filtration system, maybe toilet water is the best kind of beer. You don't know.
Right. I mean
I wouldn't use it for mine, but you know.
Name a more mineral-rich source.
Of course, you're gonna have, Singapore. Well, they got a pretty good diet over there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't source it from American toilet systems where our major diet is McDonald's and chicken nuggets, but.
McNuggets and limp French fries.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. We do have one more story to get to.
We do.
And that is, apparently, you all have phones.
Yes.
And credit cards linked to the accounts that you download the apps on your phones, because you've been more than willing to pay for in-game bonuses when it comes to Diablo Immortal. Blizzard posted their first 30 days of Diablo Immortal, and a lot more of you buy DLC and in-game packages and boosts than we're willing to admit. $49 million in 30 days. I guarantee Diablo Immortal is profitable after just 30 days.
I know, and that's kind of insane given the backlash that they got from the announcement at BlizzCon.
I know.
Was it 2 years ago? It was 2 years ago, right?
2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Don't you guys have phones?
Phones? Come on.
Right, it was that whole charade and
okay.
Like we're all expecting Diablo 4. Like all you have to do is put a flaming 4 up on the big screen.
People went nuts.
People lose their minds. Instead, it's like, no, we're coming out with a mobile game that you can play the original Diablo, but with like all these added perks. Oh, and also it's pay to win. And people lost their minds, and they said, well, don't you all have phones? And apparently you all have phones, and you're all willing to spend millions of dollars, because $49 million 30 days, that's $1.5 million a day.
I think the real bad thing about that whole BlizzCon thing is how they presented it. It wasn't necessarily that it's a mobile game, it was how they presented it. Because they presented it at the very end of the conference. Like, this is the big reveal.
It was the big
We're gonna
news.
do a big reveal. This is the big reveal, because they always save the best for last, right? And the best for last was a mobile Blizzard game.
Right.
If they did that in the middle of the shuffle, yeah, I bet you people would be like, oh, this is very interesting.
Yeah.
That's where they got backlash from, but they weren't necessarily wrong. I mean, there is a market for mobile gaming, and obviously people like Diablo, and obviously they were right to produce this, because 1 month made $49 million right off the bat.
Right. So here's the downloads. Now, obviously, they saw a little over 1 million downloads on the first couple of days, upwards of 1.3.5 million for the first 3 days, and then a significant downfall down to about 250,000 per day for the first week. And then we're seeing, like, what is that, 150, 125, 125,000 downloads per day is definitely not shabby as far as all that goes. But they're earning upwards of about $1.6 to $1.7 million per day in free content, in in-app purchase content.
Right.
$1.7 million per day.
Yeah.
And as you can see, like, there's a little bit of a downward trend here, but let's say it levels out right about the $1 million a day that it looks like it will be.
Yes.
Can you carry that number to the end of the year? I bet you can.
Highly profitable.
Right.
Highly profitable.
Let's just say they carry $1 million per day to the end of the year. That's $170 million.
Yeah. That's not a small amount. This is a winning formula.
Right.
Which kind of, given how Blizzard's standpoint is right now, they're kind of hurting, right? A lot of people are not really liking the direction that World of Warcraft's going. A lot of people are not liking the direction that Overwatch 2 is going. I think there's still a lot of anticipation for Diablo 4, obviously, but
not at this point. There's not.
Yes, a lot. So their core base is not looking too great, but then they release this mobile app, and they're like, "Oh, we're making a ton of money from this."
All of a sudden, we're a mobile developer.
What do you think they're going to do in the future? They think they're going to go mobile.
Let's put 170 million. Like, let's say Diablo Immortal makes $170 million in the first 6 months of release. Okay, let's just like round that to where it is. Diablo 3 in the first week, made $315 million.
Right.
They sold 6.3 million copies. Let's say $50 each. They made $315 million in the first week of Diablo 3. They've probably made about $650 million on that. But that's been over a decade.
Yeah. Like,
that's the lifespan of that franchise of Diablo 3. Started in 2012. Let's say they've made $600 million. Like, let's be generous there. Man, can you imagine the revenue return from Diablo Immortal? Let's say they hold that 1 million revenue through next year. That's $490 million.
Yeah.
For 18 months of a mobile game.
Yeah, and I guess I kind of take that back. I don't think they're going to go mobile. I think they're going to go more monetization.
Well, every company, regardless of if they're a games developer or an app developer or a social media service or a TV provider, they're all trying to get you to do subscription services right now.
They want the games for service type of model.
They want the games for service. They also want the predictable monthly return. That's the big thing, is because think about traditional games development where you spend 4 years developing Diablo 3 and then you make half of your money back in a month and the other half back over the next 8 years.
Yeah.
Like, that's how games development works. Is you'll sink $100 million into development of Diablo 3, and in the first week you'll make $315 million. But unfortunately, you have to spend $100 million to get to that first week. after that point, you do some patches and some releases and maybe a
Right.
couple free DLCs to get some stragglers on and whatnot. And, you know, it ends up making 600 million, but, you know, 500 million profit. No one's going to scoff at that too much.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it's like I had to spend $100 million up front for the first
Just to get
4
to that
years.
point. Yeah.
Right.
That's a heavy investment.
Right. I guarantee Diablo Immortal does not have nearly that amount of development time and development costs associated with it. I'd be shocked if we were north of $30 million for Diablo Immortal. They've already made $49 million. Like, I guarantee
they're already like,
they're
oh,
already right there.
This is working good. This was a smart decision already in their minds.
Imagine if in the first 18 months it nets $490 million profit. Like, that's the track that they're on. Do you understand that?
Of course. Well, that's the thing. They see these numbers, and that's the way they're going to go. Monetization.
Right.
You get a popular IP, you start monetizing it.
Right.
I mean, that's what they did. World of Warcraft. It's subscription-based service. It's been going strong. It's made them a ton of money. I don't think there's any product that they're going to make that's going to surpass World of Warcraft, but they're starting to do that with Diablo. I think somebody mentioned in the chat that Overwatch 2, it's going to be free, but it's a small IP that they're starting up, and I guarantee you it's going to be more monetized than the first one.
Disney spent $4 billion on LucasArts. They then went out and made 5 movies. They made Rogue One, Solo, and then the sequel trilogy. But then they spun it around and went, hey, why don't we use Star Wars to make everyone buy our service for $15 a month?
Yeah. Well, not only Star Wars, but Marvel as well.
Right. And so now we have Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan and the soon-to-be-released Lando, and there's a whole bunch of other series that are like
Andor,
on the cusp
Andor or
of...
something like that. Yeah, Andor, I think, is another one.
And, you know, they're trying to get away from relying on the box office single-day sales because... let's be real, the opening weekend of a box office summer hit is 80% of the money you'll make over the lifetime of that movie.
Absolutely.
And I have friends who run businesses that are like literally dependent on 1 to 3 weeks worth of income. I have a really good friend who runs a haunted house. And he works 11 months out of the year to open his haunted house for 3 weeks a year.
Yeah.
And he makes all of his money in that 3 weeks. And let me tell you, the stress going into those 3 weeks.
Oh, I bet.
Now, during those 3 weeks, he loves to turn to me and go, I'm making $12,000 an hour right now.
That's all you're making right now.
But he doesn't get to work the other 11 months.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I know exactly who you're talking about too. And they are the best haunted house in the area. But,
they are, and he's a great guy. Like I love him to death. But yeah, it's really funny when you put your head into that mindset.
Yeah.
Where that's the same lifespan of a software developer and a games publisher and things like that. Is they're and hop farmers. Like let's circle all the way back to beer. We talked about like driving by hop farms for 9 months of the year and being able to smell all the different variants of hops and seeing the beautiful fields that are laid out in front of you. They literally make all of their money for the year in 1 week.
In that one time.
And that is Harvest
all
Week.
The time. Yeah.
And Harvest Week, you know when that week is because every single highway in the area is jam-packed with hop trucks.
Yep, they're the open air trucks that have the hops just hanging out.
They're the open air trucks with like the slat wood sides.
Yep. Yeah, I know, because like you can drive down the highways here, or the backcountry roads, and you see this like little bits of hop leaves and stuff like that strewn all over the side of the road.
Strewn down the road. Yeah. You could probably just walk along the road and collect your hops for the year as a home brewer.
Oh yeah, you could. You get a little slightly asphalt taste to it, but it's fine.
Who cares?
Let's call it the asphalt IPA.
Right. Roadkill IPA. Roadkill IPA.
There you go.
But yeah, like hop farmers make all of their money in 1 week.
Yeah.
Everything that they do throughout the entire year culminates into 1 week where it's do or die. And it's kind of, it's not quite that severe when you're like an app development firm. Like sometimes you're a no man's sky.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you're a do or die. Like, we're gonna release the game now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cross your fingers. Let's hope we're profitable.
Right.
Because we
hope
didn't
it's
make
good
any
enough.
money before. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah, development time for giant games like that, it's takes a long time. It takes a lot to do.
Yeah.
And unless you have like income coming in from other sources, it's literally do or die. Yeah. So that's why these type of models are super attractive to software developers, because maybe we can develop these one-off games, and so who cares if they're successful or not? We still have this steady stream of income from our other stuff.
Right. And you look at Disney going, look at all the hate we got for The Rise of Skywalker. Justified. But they're going, would we rather just make more Mandalorian?
Of course.
I'd be cool with that.
Yeah, that's fine. The Mandalorian is the best Star Wars franchise to come out for a long time.
Period. Like, right.
Oh, yeah.
Mo Zamboni chimes in. $5. Thank you so much, Mo. Love Talking Heads. A bunch of nerds who love two unrelated things and will change gears without warning. Your unbridled joy regarding beers and PCs helps us all. Thank you.
All right. Before we end this, I'm going to try.
Oh, you got beer number 3 here.
This is beer number 3, but this is the special beer because
this is the Yeti.
It's the Yeti.
The 5-year aged Yeti.
It's 5-year aged Yeti, but in a can,
yes.
not in a bottle. Most people age things in bottles.
I opened 3 or 4 months ago another Yeti that was 5 years aged. It was bottled in March of 2017, but it was a bottle.
Though. Okay.
And it was still delicious.
That's why I'm super curious, because I've had lots of older bottled beers, and they are absolutely delicious, but I don't have an opportunity to have too many canned aged beers.
Right. I will say that's an attractive beer.
Do you like the glass too? I might be jeweled jeweled glass here.
Is that your Prince Albert glass?
This is actually a gift from Hops and Brews John's wife to my wife.
Okay.
This is like she got her a fancy glass, and so I'm like, I'm gonna borrow it.
I love it.
You know what? Almost okay. My fear was because it was aged in the can that it would have some kind of tinny, almost aluminum, that flavor that you get. I don't sometimes.
I don't fear that, and the reason being is a lot of cans have almost like a wax or plastic like liner.
But I've experienced it before. I have experienced it before.
Yeah,
but this one has none of that. This is actually quite good for being. It's really smooth, actually.
Yeah, this brings up a great point of beers from cans or beers from bottles, because there's a lot of purists who say, drink beer or pour beer from a bottle versus beer from a can.
No,
actually, canned beers are the best you can get as far as from the brewery to your glass.
They will preserve better in a can because there's no light hitting it.
There's no light hitting it, and it is a better overall seal. Everything leaks. Everything leaks. Everything has a vent of some kind and will eventually gas out. Cans gas out slower than wax top bottles.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yes, there's some bottles that are more fancy and they just seem more traditional, but the only thing I really fear with aging things in a can is that tinny taste to it, that metallic taste that gets to it. But this has none of it. It tastes like a really solid imperial stout, like just the right amount of roastiness, just the right amount of sweetness. Little bit of hot bite at the end. Perfect.
Nice. The Yeti, what is that, 11%?
I think it's 10.5.
10.5? Okay, yeah.
I believe so. I'm trying to find out where it's at.
Good stuff.
Oh, no, good. I'm glad I got it.
All right. We do have a couple more minutes available in the show. If anyone has any questions, comments, concerns, things you want to know, you want us to talk beer, you want us to talk tech, you want us to talk Star Wars, Star Trek, whatever. We'll give a couple minutes here at the end for Q&A. As I'm finishing up my Quilter's Irish Death.
Yeah, and actually, I as a note about the time slot, I have noticed that we have kept a viewer count more consistent
Yes.
than we have when we had the old slot.
Yeah, it is a slightly higher viewer count thus far. I'm hoping that kind of continues. Because this used to be the viewer count that we would maintain like 2 years ago, which was just a little over 100. We peaked at, it looks like 116. We hit that a couple of different times tonight. And then we're averaging right around 110, 105, somewhere right in there. The last 6 months or so, we've been averaging more like in the 80s. And I'm not sure if that's people going back to work, people being unavailable, but I figured we would try a new time slot to kind of give some more life to it. Yeah. Let's see. Ian says, I live by Martin House and want to send Jeff some spicy pickle beers. If you live by Martin House, John needs the hot dog seltzers.
No, he needs the hot dog seltzers, and he also wants the barbecue beer.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the barbecue.
Yes. He wants
sauce
both
beer.
of those. He literally he was talking to me the other day about he got into some secret traders group for just Martin House.
Nice.
So if you're able to just sell him direct, definitely get a hold of Hops and Brews.
Yeah.
I particularly love the Martin House ones because John always calls me up for it. Because he knows I'll try anything. I'll do anything. Yeah. I'll try it. It's fine.
I won't try anything.
I'll try anything.
I try most things.
I am a very adventurous eater. I will eat just about anything. So when he gets some super weird beers, it comes to me to come help him drink it.
Yeah.
And yes, I always appreciate it because I love those experiences.
Let's see. Tech Potato says, Jeff, I'm still up. WTF. I don't know why you're up this late. So that is Dr. Ian over in the UK. God, what is it, like 4 a.m. for you right now? What the hell are you doing up?
Too much spotted dick.
Good God, man. And he also says he's meeting Wendell next week. Fun content inbound. Are you going to be back in, say, my neck of the woods somewhere around the 21st? I'm wondering if you got that email as well. If so, I want to take like a bunch of us out to dinner. Like that could be fun. So, if you're going to be supposedly in my area, supposedly around the Intel campus, supposedly around 20th or 21st,
supposedly,
give me a ring. Supposedly, let's make that happen. John J, what did I think about the 32 drive floppy RAID? I haven't seen the video yet, although I've seen it posted a couple of times. I've always considered trying that just for the frickin' hell of it. Floppy drive RAID.
Floppy drives?
Right.
Do we have
a guy hooked up 32 USB floppy drives and raided them.
I saw the video.
Yeah.
Too. I thought it was neat, but I don't know where you would get that amount of floppy drives anymore. No one sells them.
Right.
It's
like I have 2. I have an internal and I have a USB.
Yeah.
And I keep them just for when I may need them.
I've been doing some really good spring cleaning, so I've been going through my my e-waste pile that I have in my house, and I did find one of my old Core 2 Duo workstations that I used to have in the office. It still has a floppy drive in it, so I have one. Yeah. I have one floppy drive left.
Yeah, Ian says it is 4 a.m. Yeah, I thought it was 4 a.m. Yeah, so what are you still doing awake? That's what I want to know. What you're doing is far more interesting than what I'm doing. You can still get USB floppy drives on Amazon.
Really?
Well, I knew you probably could, but 30 of them? Like, come on. There's a limit to everything, even Bezos.
They have USB floppy drives, I think.
Yeah, Floppytron is the keeper of the floppies. Yeah, as well he should be. Floppytron Imperial March. Oh, I'm well acquainted with the Floppytron Imperial March. That is the swan song of the Floppytron 1.0, 2.0, and now 3.0 machines, which include 5 1/4 drives, hard drives, flatbed scanners. Oh yeah. Yes, I'm well aware of Floppytron. Klaus says, hello from Denmark. Love the show. Just woke up, so I'll have to watch the show when it's over. Hello, and good morning.
Hello.
Ian says, not 21st, maybe the 15th. Yeah, they keep going back and forth with me, so I'm curious to see what day they settle on. Because they said either the 14th or the week of the 21st was the last email that I had. But I know Rhett's been back and forthing with them a couple of times. So
I like how they said they'll pay all your expenses to come out there. And like I live like 30 miles away.
Yeah, they're like, we will cover the cost of your flight to Portland. Okay. And I'm like, oh,
can you
really?
Cover just my gas?
Yeah. Can I just have like a $40 check to drive? Ian is installing a 4 terabyte PCI Express 4.0 NVMe into a Ryzen 6900 HS Zephyrus for my US trip next week. Now sync 2 terabytes over Google Drive.
Wow.
See, that is way more interesting than what I'm doing, which is getting drunk on a tech show.
I mean, it's not as interesting. It's more fun, though.
Yeah. Yeah, we're talking about Floppytron. V2 has been retired and V3 has been posted. And yeah, Imperial March was the first video with V3.
Yeah.
And he's got quite a few videos of Floppytron V3. So, I am curious what you think about the 6900 HS so far, especially on the Zephyrus. The Zephyrus was like, if Apple didn't come out with the M1, I would have bought a Zephyrus. So I'm actually really curious to know what you think about that laptop. All right. We got like 5 minutes left.
Sure.
We are going to do more of a hard out from now on because I have kids that I'm going to go read stories to. And then if you'd like to join the after party, which is the Discord video chat that happens every Wednesday night immediately after the show, we'll be starting that at 8:30 p.m. Pacific time. And the only way to get access to that is to join the Patreon. Link is down in the video description to get the exclusive Discord server. That's what I was trying to get to. Costs you minimum $1 per month. More is always welcome, though. We charge per video, but you can always set a monthly cap at $1 and get the Discord benefit. It's an awesome community. The most prolific and active Discord community that I hang out in. And I'm a member of 20 or so Discords.
I think I'm about 15, yeah. But yeah, ours is the only one is the most active, I used to say, and the most interactive too.
Right.
Like we have a lot of people that just like talking to each other.
Yeah.
Just what it is.
Yeah. And it's not just stuff that relates to the show. It's not just beer and tech. It's everything from cars to we have a politics channel that we haven't had to shut down yet.
Yeah.
We have a makerspace. We've got networking and storage and hardware question channels, and people who readily man those to answer your questions. It's a really, really fantastic community.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ian says, as long as the 6900 HS and the RX 6800S renders Tech Potato videos faster than my 1195 G7 and UHD 770 and still offers 10-hour battery life, it's a win. I'll agree with that. Because I had a Dell 7357 or something like that. It was a Dell Inspiron laptop that was a Ryzen 2500U. And so 4 cores, 8 threads, Ryzen Zen Plus, and a Vega 8. And I did a couple CES trips on that. And wow, was that thing a dog. like I only spent $700 for it. Let's call it what it is. It was a budget laptop, budget to mid-range laptop. Vega 8 did an admirable job when it was streaming, but man, did it bog down like crazy whenever I tried to do anything with MPEG-4 and Premiere, and it was just not a good time. So, like I said, I got an M1 MacBook Pro. It's been performing admirably since I bought it, although I really haven't been anywhere to really stretch its legs since I bought it. So, yeah, in fact, the last remote live show that we did was in Vegas on that Dell laptop.
And actually, that was probably one of the best.
It was one of the best shows we've ever had.
That was a great show. I really enjoyed being.
Do you want to know what's really disgusting about that, Steve?
Yeah.
Episode 125.
Was it really? Oh my gosh, we're like at what, 3 something? What are we now? No, 242.
242. 125. Wow. It was almost half the show ago.
Oh man, but that was a great show. I really enjoyed that show.
Epos Vox and Bite My Bits, Jason.
Yeah, that was good.
It was a great show, and I can't wait to do those again.
Yes.
Let's see. Austin says, awesome show. Best of luck on the new time slot. I'll try to catch it more. Thank you so much.
Perfect, yes.
Home Lab kind of whizzes by too fast. Craft Computing Discord is a more homey kind of place feel, not as fast paced. Yeah, and that's kind of the whole goal of it. Is someone pointed out today. I like that you use jazz music instead of dubstep for your B-roll montages. And I went, that's kind of a point, because dubstep has its place, but not every build needs to be like. Yeah. Like, I enjoy it as much as the next person, but when every single tech channel, every B-roll montage ever has it, I like to be a little bit more laid back. And that's how I approach the Discord as well. And that's the kind of community that I try to attract to the Discord. So it's just a bunch of people who like to hang out, drink beer, talk tech, and, be honest with one another without being at each other's throats. And it's kind of a great time.
Just be chill about everything, man. It's fine.
Jazz is smooth. No one wants whoop, 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 whoop. Right. Like, there's this, like, I've used a couple of, like, more intense tracks. But even so, even the tracks that I use like that will be, like, more cinematic and orchestral. Not necessarily like dubstep and K-pop. Like,
right.
And it's because I like the stuff to be a little bit more laid back. That's just my style. So, let's see. Politics. Wow, says Mo Zamboni. Yeah, politics. It's a single channel and it's contained, and we keep it civil under threat of ban.
Yeah, we
and it works.
confine it to one. We confine it to one channel, and it's very civil. It's and it doesn't get too overly verbose too. I mean, there's like, it's nice. It's not too bad. There's not too much shunning going on. There's a lot of good faith discussion.
2 more comments I want to read out. Ian says, Tiny Tina Wonderlands, wub 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 wub. Right, like not everything needs dubstep, especially like a medieval shooter. And then we've got Craft Computing, compose your own music. I've started doing that. Yeah, no, actually, one of the things on my list for the next 6 months is to start composing my own jazz backing tracks. So I don't ever have to worry about, Creative Commons ever again. Mm-hmm. And then there was one more. Tech Geek sends over, it's not unusual to be loved by anyone. That's when lunchtime turned from good to great, as John Mulaney would say. Denver sends over $5, and we'll end with this. Did you see the new Lenovo 6800U? $910 with a 6800U, 16 gigs of RAM, and a 512 SSD, backlit keyboard. Are laptop prices finally getting reasonable? Laptop prices have been getting reasonable for the last 2 to 3 years as the silicon density has improved. And what I mean by that is we went from Maxwell with the dedicated mobile GPUs, which was the 50% or more cut down SKUs of GPUs, to full fat gaming desktop GPUs in a slightly undervolted, lower power standpoint, but 85% reasonably the power of a desktop SKU. That kind of started it all the way back in like 2017. since then, and since AMD re-entered the market on the desktop side of things, they've started pushing Intel on the mobile side of things when it comes to efficiency and overall power. Especially because every single AMD laptop, guess what, comes with Vega 8 or Vega 11 graphics, which has been a steamroller when it comes to overall efficiency of CPU and graphics horsepower. Since that time, Intel has been raising the bar with better and better CPUs, kind of culminating in the 6-core 10th gen, holy crap, we're going to melt down because no one knows how to make a heatsink this small CPUs. But all of a sudden we're getting, Tiger Lake and Alder Lake CPUs that are pretty reasonable little 6 and 8 core powerhouses from Intel. We're getting CPUs like the 6800HS with Vega 8 graphics on board, or even better if you've got a Zephyrus like an RTX 2060 mobile. 8 core, 16 threads that honestly will keep up with some desktop parts in some workloads. So competition benefits us all. And a return to competition across the space has benefited the consumer when it comes to AMD and Intel. So yes, laptops are getting better and they're getting cheaper, and the beneficiary of that is all of us. Anyway, that is going to do it for episode 242 here on Talking Heads, every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time for the latest in beer and tech news. Subscribe to Craft Computing if you haven't done so already. Make sure to drop this video a like. I see that at least 30 of you watching right now have not done so, so go and do that. Share this video if you found it entertaining. Follow me on Twitter at Craft Computing. Follow Steve on social media if you can find him. Don't.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. Don't go down there. And as always, we'll see you next Wednesday.
All right. See you guys.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye.
We're out.
All right.